Hello everyone, welcome back to the fourth session on the chapter Biomolecules. Today we shall learn about the topic proteins. Recap, last class we learnt about structure of cellulose, glycogen, importance of carbohydrates. Also we learnt what are amino acids and also properties of amino acids. Also we learnt 20 naturally occurring amino acids, its classification as well. Today we learn about proteins. What are proteins? Proteins are polymers of alpha amino acids. They are present as fundamental molecule in our living system. Also in Greek, proteos means prime importance. So it is very important biomolecule which has a lot of function in our body. Okay. Also these alpha amino acids which is there in the proteins are connected with one another by peptide bond or peptide linkage. What is alpha amino acid and what is peptide bond? We have learnt it in the last class. Okay. So the definition of protein goes like this: a polypeptide with more than 100 amino acids which is having a molecular mass of 10,000 or more is called as protein. Okay. We learn about the classification of proteins. Proteins are classified on the basis of molecular shape, okay, as fibrous proteins and globular proteins. The word itself tells what do you mean by fibrous protein. They have a structure just like a fiber. The polypeptide chains run parallel and are held together by hydrogen bond or disulfide bond. That is, for example, this is one fiber, you can expect one more like this, and so they are parallel with one another, they are winding with one another. That is structure of collagen where you have 3 strands wound together. Okay, they are fibrous protein where they look like fiber. The structure just looks like a fiber and they have which kind of bond in between? Hydrogen bond and disulfide bond. These proteins are insoluble in water. Okay, so that's about fibrous protein. Example for fibrous protein, it is keratin and myosin. Keratin is the one which is present in hair, nails, also it is present in wool, silk, etc. And myosin is a fibrous protein which is present in muscles. Okay. Next is about globular protein. Globular protein, the polypeptide chains coil around to give a spherical structure. It gives a spherical shape. These are soluble in water. Example, insulin and albumin. So once again, fibrous protein where the polypeptide chain runs parallel with one another. They are stable or the bond between them are hydrogen bonds or disulfide bonds. Example we can give keratin or myosin. Globular protein where the polypeptide chain are coiled around one another to give a spherical shape. Okay, these are soluble in water and examples are insulin and albumin. If they ask you to write the difference between fibrous and globular protein, you can give basically major 3 differences. First thing, fibrous protein, they are fiber like, globular protein have a spherical shape. Whereas fibrous protein are insoluble in water, globular protein are soluble in water. Fibrous protein are present as structural material like hair, nails, etc. Whereas globular protein has biological activity as well. Okay, example you can give keratin and myosin, here you can give insulin and albumin. So that is about fibrous and globular protein. Next is structure of protein. Structure of protein can be understood in 4 levels, that is primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. To understand this better, you can see this diagram. Okay, see the primary structure is nothing but a sequence of amino acid. Which amino acid is after which amino acid? There is a complete sequence. It is linked with one another by peptide bond. Okay, you can see there are all these single pieces what we have shown, the round particles what we have shown, they are all amino acids. Different sequence of amino acids give rise to different proteins. Okay, so even one amino acid changes, then it will give rise to a completely different protein. Okay, so the primary structure has a sequence of amino acids and they are linked with what? Peptide bond. That's the primary structure. Now these amino acids, when they are linked, the long chain, the chain becomes really very long, and you can see there are different ways which it can be folded to give secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. So secondary structure, there are 2 types of folding which can be done. So the primary chain, polypeptide full long chain which you have, it can be folded in 2 ways, that we call it as secondary structure. Either it can be alpha helix, you can see this chain is just wound around. Okay, in the right hand helix it is wound. Okay, that is called as alpha helix. Okay, or it is kept, it is folded in the form of sheets. Okay, you can see it's just folded in the form of sheets, which we call it as beta sheets or pleated sheets. Okay, now here between this you can see here we have CONH bond. Okay, this is a peptide linkage, this is another peptide linkage, here you have another peptide linkage, here you have another peptide linkage. Between them, okay, between the peptide linkage of one dipeptide, okay, and another peptide linkage, between the NH hydrogen and between the carbon and oxygen, between the hydrogen and oxygen you have hydrogen bond. Okay, hydrogen atom of one peptide bond, okay, is getting attracted to oxygen of another peptide linkage. So in between that there is a force of attraction which we call it as hydrogen bond. There can also be disulfide linkage provided the amino acids which contain sulfur is present. Okay, so in between beta pleated sheets also we can see there are a lot of hydrogen bonds. This is hydrogen bond. Here also you can see it's a hydrogen bond. Okay, so that is the secondary structure. Now these one set of folding is done, the long chain has compressed a little. Now the tertiary structure is the overall folding, okay, where you can see here, you can see some are alpha helix, you can see alpha sheets, you can see some are beta pleated sheets, you can see, and there are 4 types of bonds which can make a tertiary structure very stable. Okay, that is, it can be either van der Waals force of attraction, or between the R groups, that is the variable groups of the amino acid, it can be even ionic bond, even covalent bond is possible, or disulfide linkage, or even our hydrogen bond is possible. So if you take the secondary structure, okay, if you put together 3-dimensional folding, complete folding you do, we call that as tertiary structure. Okay, now this tertiary structure, further when it is compiled together we get a quaternary structure. For example, the quaternary structures are made up of subunits. Now for example, this is one polypeptide linkage, this is one subunit, this is second subunit, this is the third, and this is the fourth. Okay, and each one is a tertiary structure. So you are putting all the tertiary structures together to get the entire protein. okay, which is called as the quaternary structure. Okay, that's how a long polypeptide chain is compressed, and you get different levels of folding to get the quaternary structure. We'll learn each one of these structures in detail. First one is primary structure. Primary structure, what is it? It is linear sequence of amino acid is called as primary structure. It is linear and unfolded. It is not folded at all. You have complete sequence of all the amino acids linked with peptide bond. Then the given protein has a fixed sequence of amino acid. Okay, even if there is a change in one amino acid, it gives rise to a completely different protein. Any change in the sequence of amino acids gives different protein. You can see here each amino acids we have shown in different color, okay, and there is a linkage between them is called as a peptide bond. Okay, next one we have secondary structure. What is secondary structure? It is the shape with which a polypeptide chain can exist, or how it can fold into. Okay, they are of two types, alpha helix and beta pleated sheet. Alpha helix, as I told you, see, it is wound like this. You can see between the two turns, you can see there are hydrogen bonds which is making it very stable. Same way, beta pleated sheets also you can see the arrow mark is towards where there is a carboxyl end. Okay, you have one sheet, 2, 3, and between them you have which bond? Hydrogen bond. Okay, so that is about the secondary structure, alpha helix and beta pleated sheet. Next we learn about tertiary structure. Tertiary structure refers to overall folding of the polypeptide chain, that is further folding of the secondary structure to give rise to fibrous or globular protein. We already learned what is fibrous or globular protein. So fibrous protein can have either it can have some of the alpha helix, some of the beta sheet, or only alpha helix or only beta sheet, depends upon what is the protein. Okay, so we have fibrous protein and globular protein, which is the tertiary structure. So in tertiary structure you can see we have some beta pleated sheets also, we have some alpha helix also. You can see these are alpha helix, these are beta pleated sheets, which put together we get the tertiary structure. Next we have the quaternary structure. So what is quaternary structure? Some of the proteins are composed of 2 or more polypeptide chain referred to as subunits. So this is one subunit, here you have one subunit, one here, one here. For example, this is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is made up of 4 subunits. Okay, so you can see the color difference here. You have 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 subunits, that means it is made up of 4 different polypeptide chains. Okay, the spatial arrangement of these subunits with respect to each other is known as quaternary structure of proteins. Okay, so that is about the structure of protein. So once again, first level is the primary structure where you have the complete sequence. Second is secondary structure. It can be of two types, it can be alpha helix or it can be beta pleated sheets. Tertiary structure is a further folding of the secondary structure, which can be again of two types. It can be fibrous protein or it can be globular. And finally you put all the polypeptide chains together to get the complete protein, which is called as a quaternary structure. Okay, that's about the structure of proteins. Next we have denaturation of proteins. What do you mean by denaturation of protein? Now each protein has a unique structure, okay, and it has got its own function. Now such proteins we call them as native proteins. So what is it? Protein found in biological system has unique 3-dimensional structure and its own biological activity. That is called as the native protein. Now if you are destroying the native protein, okay, you are disrupting the 3-dimensional structure of a protein, We call it as denaturation of protein. So we'll see the definition. The loss of biological activity of protein when the protein is subjected to physical change like temperature or chemical change like pH. This is called as denaturation of proteins. So what is happening here? You are taking the native protein, okay, you are applying some stress, like you are going to increase the temperature, or it can be change in pH, or you are adding any chemical, you are going to put some stress. It can be physical stress or it can be a chemical stress on the native protein. So the biological activity as well as the structure also, you will be losing even the secondary and tertiary structure of protein. Primary will be intact, but secondary and tertiary structure of protein also will be lost, and that process is called as denaturation of protein. Example, if you see coagulation of white of the egg. When you boil egg, you can see the white portion of the egg, that is nothing but coagulation of egg white which has happened. You are increasing the temperature, you are boiling that egg, the transparent, that part whatever was there in the egg has got coagulated, that's why it is converted to white. Or if you add a drop of lemon or you are adding vinegar to milk, what will happen? You can see complete curdling of milk. That also is denaturation of protein. So curdling of milk is also an example for denaturation of protein. Okay. Next we have enzymes. What are enzymes? Enzymes are called as biochemical catalyst. They are biological catalyst which is present in living cells. Okay, they are present in living cells. So we know what is catalyst. They are substances which is added to a chemical reaction which increases the rate of the reaction without itself undergoing any chemical change or quantitative change. Okay. So enzymes are present in living cells, that's why they are called as biochemical catalyst. Biochemical catalyst. Okay. They are highly specific, they are highly efficient, that a small amount is enough for the reaction to increase the rate of the reaction. Okay. They have optimum pH, they have optimum temperature, etc. So some of the characteristics of enzymes I have explained in surface chemistry chapter. Please go through what have been taught in surface chemistry chapter as well. Almost all enzymes are globular proteins. All enzymes are proteins, but all proteins are not enzymes. Remember, all the enzymes are proteins, in that most of them are globular proteins. There are few exceptions which are not globular proteins. Also, they are generally named after the class of compound on which they work. For example, maltose is converted to glucose. Then that enzyme which does that conversion is called as maltase. Example, you can see maltose into glucose, okay, is catalyzed by maltase. Okay, or it is named after where they are used or which kind of reaction if it is used. If an enzyme is catalyzing an oxidation and reduction reaction which is happening simultaneously, what do we call it as? Redox reactions. Then such enzymes are called as oxidoreductase enzyme. What is it? Oxidoreductase enzyme. And always remember, the name of the enzyme ends with ASE. Okay, ACE. Also, the mechanism in which they work or enzyme mechanism, especially the lock and key model, I have again explained in detail in surface chemistry chapter. Please go through what I have been taught. Okay, so that is about enzymes which are also proteins. So next class we learn about what are hormones and what are vitamins. I hope you have understood what has been taught today about proteins. See you next class. Stay tuned, stay focused.